Hey friend, Graham here from recordingrevolution.com. Today let's talk about how to mix your piano tracks in 10 minutes. We're continuing in this mix in 10-minute series, giving you my fastest quick tips on getting a great mix on individual instruments. So we're going to be talking about piano today, and this is going to be super quick because there's a lot you could do on a piano, and pianos can sound very, very different. And the role of the piano in the mix really varies and will determine a lot of what you do with it. So, it's hard to use rule of thumbs with a lot of these things. But I'm going to show you the way I think about the one thing you can be doing with your pianos to really bring them to life in a mix. They can sound great by themselves, but getting them to fit in the mix, and it's pretty simple. Here is a song where it's very sort of cinematic and orchestral at the end, and there's a simple piano part that comes in. That's why I chose this song, 'cause it's a relatively simple piano part to show the effectiveness of this technique. I'll press play, and I'll highlight the piano, and then we'll take away the mixing, and you'll see what we're doing here.
Days are like upon the shore, and flashes from the stains, and
Right, very simple piano part, and then there's a delay in there. I'll show you that in a minute, but this is just a simple piece where the piano is accompanying the instruments and accompanying the mix. It's not the dominant instrument, and if it were the dominant instrument, I would still probably approach it the same way. But notice what happens when I bypass these two plugins on the piano tracks in the mix. I'm gonna press play, and I'll turn them off like that when it's playing. Notice what happens to the piano part.
days are like upon the shore, and flashes from the stains, and that is almost over, and the haven is at hand. Days are like
Now, I know there's a lot going on, but if you were listening closely, the piano disappeared when I took it away, right? Listen to it in solo, you can hear what it sounded like. Right? So what are we doing? The piano was duller when I took them away, because that's what the pianos actually sounded like. There's two tracks. Maybe it's someone like me who can't play piano and play the left hand once and then play the right hand and then sync them up. But so you've got just the one little piano part here. Take away the delay. The problem is a piano like this, as cool as it sounds, is never going to show up in the mix. So what do? We grab EQ. In this case, I'm just grabbing the SSL, but I want to show you it's really the frequency and the strategy behind it. So pianos need to be both warm and full, and they also need to be bright, and you need to hear the attack. Like if you imagine putting microphones over the hammers on a grand piano where the lid is opened up, we want to hear the attack. We want to hear that hammer actually hitting that string. That is what makes the piano sound like a piano and cut through. It's a very percussive instrument, right? It has a huge peak. Very interesting. So we want to really highlight that. And so what you see is a massive EQ boost. I've done a shelf boost here, a 4K. And that means it's boosting 4K and everything above 4K, shelf, of 12 dB. This is a humongous boost. And then I have another 6 dB boost at 2.9K. So let's just highlight just this upper piano part here by itself. Right, way more clear, way more punchy. It's cutting through. We're making it cut out or stick out more. So these are humongous boosts. You never I'm such a subtle EQ guy. Like, I have friends that are really extreme EQ guys. I'm like the subtle EQ guy. This is extreme for Graham. 12 dB boosting of anything is like extreme, but this is what my piano EQs look like because I want that air on the top end. I want the punchiness of the keys. I want it to cut through the mix because you saw what happened when I muted it, it got lost. So I'm doing massive boosts, usually in the upper frequencies and then an upper mid-range boost, and that's gonna make the piano loud. So you see I've got the output turned down, right? I've turned this way down by 6 dB or whatever. So I pulled the output down because I'm boosting so much at the top end to try to level match it a little bit. It's gonna have a little bit more gain, but there's not a ton up there to boost because it's a pretty dark piano. So I'm trying to bring out whatever is there, which is probably more in the upper mids than it is in the upper range. So that is gonna help the piano cut through. And if you look at the octave piano on the bottom or on the left side, very similar. I don't have the upper frequency boost because this is now the left hand. These are the low notes, but I do have a mid-range of 1.9K. I have a 6 dB boost at 1.9K. And then I'm also boosting the low end around 100 dB. I've got a 6 dB boost there. So I'm trying to bring out the low end and upper mids to let that left hand cut through as well. So listen to it before, and I'll turn on the EQ for that. Off. This one's less pronounced than the upper parts, but it's a little more forward. And together, it really makes a difference. If we can just set it up here, and then we can turn these on or off. That's the biggest impact you could give your piano is to make sure it's cutting through in the mix. And you'll have to listen to this in context with the mix to really, really know. And in case you were wondering, because some of you might be like, hey, what's that delay? I'm just sending the top piano part with a send to delay, which I believe, I guess it's this one, this multi-delay. Yep. And this is a stock Pro Tools delay, and I'm just using the default setting. And I started to tweak from there where it's got multiple taps, so it can just be all over the place. It's just a fun little effect to have, right? And that was just to add to the sort of cinematic, orchestral, like ethereal part of this song, which is just a really, really cool thing. So there you have it. That's my favorite tip on piano. That's when I mix pianos, if I need to mix them quickly, that's what I'm doing 9 times out of 10 is let me hear the top end and the upper mid range and listen to it in context with the mix. Do this in mono so you make sure that you really can hear the piano in mono, and you got to get that boost where it needs to be so you feel the piano and it feels like a real piano, especially if this is a sample. If this is a virtual instrument piano, it's going to lack a lot of that air in the top end. That's where that EQ boost can really, really help. Now, before you go, if you are working on your mix skills, trying to get better at mixing, but you find yourself running in circles when you mix, tweaking randomly, trying this plugin, going from instrument to instrument, you don't even know if you're done or when you're done or if it's even getting better, what you probably need is a step-by-step system. Like you need an order to do things. And so I actually have an 8-step system that I follow. I do the first thing first, the second thing second. I always mix in this order, and it allows me to have some like focus and linearity to my mixing, helps my mixes sound good and helps them sound consistent. And I want to give you that multi-step process in my 8-step mixing checklist, right? It's really, really simple. Download it for free and then read it and then do your next mix in that order. Go through the checklist and mix it in that order. You'll mix better, you'll feel better, you'll get a better sound, and you'll know when you're done, which really is a big question mark. How the heck I know when I'm done when I'm mixing? This is really, really gonna help you. Just go to mixingchecklist.com. I'm gonna link to it below the video as well so you can grab that free download. Also throw in a pair of multi-track stems that you can download for a whole song and pull them into your DAW and mix away and practice these 8 steps on that song. on your DAW of choice with your plugins of choice. I hope you enjoy that mixing checklist. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It means a ton. Hope you are enjoying your musical week, and I'll see you in another video real soon.